This topic is going to talk about recipe function. We can use current recipe address and recipe selector to control the value in recipe. Use function switch can write the current recipe to target address or read from target address to current recipe. Function switch also can import recipe group from file or export recipe group back to file. Select recipe. Can add a new recipe or edit the recipe that we created. Group name can change the name of recipe. Use no of recipe parameters can set the number of parameters for this recipe group. Select parameter name can change the name of parameter by font or entered directly. Current recipe start address can determines which address to start this buffer memory. Target address can set the address of the target register, usually PLC. Select random in target address type can set the target address for each parameter. Control address of recipe no is used to represent the number of the current recipe. Select and drag the recipe selector to the screen. Double-click the recipe selector. Select the recipe we created in recipe group. Select and drag the recipe table to the screen. Double-click the recipe table. Select the recipe we created in recipe group. Table type can change the way to display the table. In date item this setting paging, we can set the color, alignment of the parameter data and column width of recipe parameter. Select and drag the function switch to the screen. Double-click the function switch. Use function can set the operation function. Recipe import recipe group from file can import the file contents of the recipe group. Use recipe group to select the recipe we created. Recipe export recipe group back to file can export the contents of the recipe group into a recipe group file. Recipe write current recipe to target address can write current recipe to the register of the target address. Recipe read from target address to current recipe will read the register contents of the target address and write the value to the current recipe of the HMI. Select the compile which is in the project. Select simulation and choose offline. Function switch and recipe table are work normally.